Hello guys, I thought I would do not very quick I guess, but just a deck profile for my Dragonmaids. I've been using this deck pretty much exclusively since like August. Um, Pretty much the only deck I use. I have been dabbling in Live Twins and Evil Twins, but really I'm still focusing on Dragonmaids, trying to make it the best it can be. This is semi-budget, like there's going to be no droplets. There's one or two expensive cards, but most of them are just going to be, under 30 or so. Chamber Dragonmaid used to be 70 plus, but after the Eldorado Gold reprint, it's gone down to about 35, and the gold one's like 15. So if you want to play, it's a great time to get in now because, all the gold versions of the cards are just insanely more affordable, and even this Dragonmaid Shio from the Megatins is only like $1 instead of $8 for the super rare from, I think Eternity Code. So, yeah, I guess just go ahead and get started. This is definitely the deck I am most familiar with. And I have won a tournament with it, not this exact profile, but something very similar. I did go 2 wins, 1 loss 2 days ago, Wednesday. I almost had the third game. It was against one of my friends who is a very good Live Twin player. And yeah, I just hope to get, better, maybe fix some things for my deck, and hopefully get another 3-0 one day. So, first of all, I'm just going to leave that one there, but we do run 3 Chamber Dragonmaids. This is a great searcher. It lets you get any Dragonmaid spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So this is good, but it can easily be stopped with, a monster negate, like Effect Veiler, or something like Ash Blossom. And if they do that, it can also be kind of hard to recover. There is an easy out to just link one, but even if you link into something like Striker Dragon or Guard Dragon Pisty, I mean, that thing's only got like 1,000 attack, and if you don't have something else in your hand like Noctovision or Hospitality, then you're kind of stuck. But it is still a very good card because I would say probably 7 or 8 times out of 10 it does not get negated. That's just from my own personal experience. Of course, if you go to, I think it's called YCS, or just, playing with people who are playing meta with, 3 droplets, Sword Soul, all that, it'll probably just get hard negated, because this is a very good card, and it's also good in Dragon Link, not just pure Dragonmaid. So, I guess I'll just stack them. So, 3 Chamber Dragonmaids, then 3 Parlor Dragonmaids. Now, Parlor has a similar effect to Chamber, except this lets you go... it lets you get any Dragonmaid card, not just a spell or trap. So as long as it has Dragonmaid in the title, it's good. And then it lets you send it from the deck to the graveyard. So this is great to get the big Dragonmaid forms out so you don't draw into them. They can be bricky, and you kind of want them in the graveyard. Something I forgot to mention too is Chamber Dragonmaid's second effect, which all the little Dragonmaids share, which is at the beginning of battle phase, you can switch them out for their dragon form. So Parlor can switch for level 8s, as can Kitchen, but the special thing about Chamber is that she can do level 7 and higher, so that includes all 4 types of the big Dragonmaids and the 2 fusion Dragonmaids, because they are level 9 and 10. So Parlor lets you send from deck to graveyard. It's also very good, and you can even send Dragonmaid Tidying, because it has a great graveyard effect that you can also activate on your opponent's turn because it's a trap card, and lets you special summon from your hand or deck. You can't use it the same turn you use its main effect, so if you had it set as a trap card, use its effect, and then it's in your graveyard, you can't use it that turn, but it's still a very strong card. And because we are using Parlor and Hospitality, I run 1 Dragonmaid Lorpar. It is searchable with things like Parlor Dragonmaid. It's searchable, go to the graveyard, and then if this is in the graveyard and you sent Parlor, well, at the beginning of battle phase, add Parlor back to your hand, special summon Lorpar. So it's pretty good. And if you have Hospitality, you can special summon Parlor Dragonmaid and then send, say, Dragonmaid Tidying, and you don't need to waste your pitch for Lorpar, because the secondary effect for Tidying lets you send another... Well, we'll go over it later, but it basically lets you send another Dragonmaid of the same attribute but a different level to the graveyard. Next we have 1 Kitchen. I used to run 2. I've tried 3. I think 1 is pretty good because honestly it is... Yeah, I mean it's good because it's a name. But honestly it's not a huge combo starter. You basically get to add 1 Dragonmaid to your hand and then discard 1 Dragonmaid. So... And it can't be Kitchen that you add again. It could be a combo starter if you get... Let's say you already had Hospitality in your hand and you only had Kitchen. Well, you'd have to have another one in your hand too, because this could be used to, like, say, add Lorpar to your hand from deck, but then you would have to send one to the graveyard, so you'd have to send Lorpar. It's a great way to get your big Dragonmaids in the graveyard. Or if you already have, let's say you started Kitchen and Lorpar, you could add Chamber to your hand after you normal summon Kitchen, and then send Lorpar to the graveyard instead of Chamber. So you still get to keep Chamber in your hand, but you've already used your normal summon. So you have to have something else like Hospitality for that really to help. And because we were playing Kitchen Dragonmaid, we have her, Dragon Form, level 8 as well. So both of Parlor and Kitchen say it just has to be level 8. And luckily they... both their big forms share level 8. So Parlor can go into Tinkek, Kitchen can go into Lorpar, and Chamber can go into either. So, and they also have their own effects. So Tinkek's quick effect, you basically get to... it's a quick effect too, so you can do it during your opponent's turn and during damage calculation. So it can be after Battle Declaration, which is a very good effect. It's another reason why, you know, Droplet is really good. You can activate it after they've declared attack, so pretty good card. Lorpar has another separate effect that you can discard it. It's not a quick effect, so you have to do it on your own turn, but it's still pretty good. You can discard it and then negate a monster's effects. So it's good to just straight up negate something, or maybe bait their negation. So either way, at that point, it's getting negated, or they have to use resources. And the big dragons, at the end of the battle phase, so at the beginning you can go from little to big, and then at the end you can go from big to little. And if you do that on your opponent's battle phase, because it's either battle phase, then whenever it is special summoned, you can use all your little Dragonmaid's effects again. Or not again, but just, you know, you can use them on their turn. So it's really good. Then we run 1 Nurse. Nurse is pretty good in my opinion, but only as an extender. It's not a combo starter. It can be if you have one of your combo starters in your graveyard. Basically, it lets you kind of revive one of your small Dragonmaids. So if a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid is in your graveyard and you normal or special summon Nurse, you get to special summon 1 level 4 or lower from your graveyard. That can be really helpful. It's great as a target for Heavenly Spheres because its attack and defense will be 0. So you put it in defense, you know. But then you still get its effects. So you can get a free extender into Chamber, and then maybe next turn, you know, you have 2 link materials or just an extra material to maybe fusion summon with if you want to keep your other ones. And because we run Nurse, we run 1 Ernest. Now this is level 7, so Kitchen and Parlor cannot go into Ernest. Only Nurse and Chamber. Because Chamber is 7 and higher, and Nurse specifically says only level 7, so not 8. Technically, Laundry Dragonmaid could go into Ernest as well, but I do not run Laundry Dragonmaid because milling 3, I tried it the first month I tried Pure Dragonmaid. It just did not end up working out in the long run, so I took it out and her Lady Dragon form. So now our first non-Dragonmaid monster will be 3 Noctovisions. This is just a pretty good card in general. If it's in your graveyard and someone tries to target your back row, so it won't protect against Lightning Storm or something, but if they specifically target it with, like, Cosmic Cyclone, I think that targets, then you can banish this from your graveyard instead and protect it. It also has another effect to where if a dark type dragon is special summoned, for example, Chamber Dragonmaid, or any of the Link 1s, like Guard Dragon Pisty and Striker Dragon, if they are special summoned, you can special summon this one as well. And then, if this card is used as Link material, you get to draw 1. So, let's say Chamber Dragonmaid is out, and normal summoned. Let's say this is turn 1. Normal summon Chamber Dragonmaid, and it gets negated. Well, you can link 1 at a Striker Dragon. That's a, dark type dragon, and it was special summoned. So then you get to special summon Noctovision, and now you have 2, so you can link 2, and get Heavenly Spheres, and draw 1. Or it's situational, but you could go into other things like Verte if you have DPE or Dragoon or something. So overall, a pretty solid card. It can be bricky, but as long as you have, any small monster, or specifically any small Dragonmaid, then this could be a big help. It's also a level 5 or higher dragon. It's level 7. So it works for the fusion as well for the boss monster. Next we run 2 Ash Blossom. I did have 3, but I went down to 2 so I could squeeze some other things in. 2 is still pretty good, I think. And, I kind of wanted a variety of hand traps instead of just, good chunks of the staples so I could cross out designate them. If you don't know what Ash Blossom does, basically if they try to do anything with their deck, you can negate it. It's really good. Then we have 2 Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansions, which is a lot like Ash Blossom, but instead of being deck related, it's graveyard related, which a lot of decks seemingly use their graveyard as a resource, so this is a very good card as well. It's a good card against Dragonmaids too, because you want to bounce cards from your field to your hand and then special summon from graveyard a lot of the time. Then we run 1 Effect Veiler. Now, this card is not as good as like Ash Blossom or something, but if they try to activate an effect that doesn't involve their deck or graveyard, let's say you have both Ash Blossom and Ghost Bell, let's say they just had a normal effect to draw, this could still negate it. So it's a good backup card, not as good as the others, and it's also good to have for crossout. So this is 1 copy of Nibiru, which is very good against a lot of combo decks like Tri-Brigade, Virtual World, Live Twins, stuff like that. It's just an overall very good card. It can be bricky if they might think you have it and they only special summon to 4, or it doesn't even have to be special, but they only summon 4 that turn, or their full combo is only 4 or something. A quick thing, I actually have a custom token I got from the October 2021 Remote Duel Extravaganza, so that's another reason I run Nibiru, just so I can slap this on my opponent's field. I think that's pretty funny, but it is just a very good card overall. And lastly, for hand traps, for monsters, there's 1 Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. This can be side decked if you know your opponent does not have any Link monsters, or they don't plan to. Like, I think Sword Soul mainly just uses Synchro. So stuff like that. If they're not going to use Link monsters, then don't bother. But this is a very good card if you're going against Link monsters, like Live Twins. I knew I was going to be going against Live Twins, so I just lifted in. And I actually got to use it, and the draw is nice. I used it when they had both twins out, so I got to draw 2 plus 1, and then, that really helped my hand out and stuff. So, on to spells. We have 3 Dragonmaid Hospitality. This is a very, very good card. It used to be around 25, but since the gold one got reprinted, I actually have 3 of the super rares, but I kind of like the contrast and variety. But the gold one, I think, is only like $2. So, you know, with that and the Chamber Dragonmaid reprint, great time to get into Dragonmaids. Basically, this lets you special summon 1 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. But the good thing about that is that after that, you get to send the other Dragonmaid. So, like, unfortunately, there's only 1 Dark Chamber Dragonmaid, so it doesn't work too well with her for both effects, but it's still good to get her out. But for Parlor, let's say you special summon her, then you can look for Dragonmaid Lorepar, because it'll be the same attribute, which is wind in this case, but a different level, so 3 and 8. So, you know, you get to special summon this, send this to graveyard from deck, and then, because Parlor Dragonmaid was summoned, you get to use her effect too. So overall, really great card. I run 3. I think everyone who plays Dragonmaid does. And yeah, it's just a really good card. The only thing it doesn't have, honestly, is a graveyard effect, but it's just great without it, so it's not really needed. Next is 1 Dragonmaid Changeover. I only run 1 because it's searchable and recyclable, but if they do banish it, you are kind of out of luck, really. I do have 1 inside deck in case they do banish, but usually 1 is all you need, because you can search for it with Chamber or Parlor, and if it gets sent to the graveyard, it has an amazing graveyard effect to where you can bounce it back to your hand from graveyard and 1 Dragonmaid you currently control. So if you use Parlor to send this to graveyard, then you use this graveyard effect, add them both back to hand, and then you can fusion summon if you have the other material. So overall, really great card, and its main effect is just fusion summon a Dragon Fusion monster, so... Next is kind of a new card. It was a little experimental at first, but it's been working amazingly. It is 3 copies of Small World from the newish set Burst of Destiny. This is just a crazy card. You know, I've heard people say it should be banned. I don't think it should be banned. Maybe limited to 1, if anything. 3? I don't know. It is very strong, but basically you get to reveal 1 monster in your hand. So let's say you have a brick or a hand trap. Then you get to reveal 1 monster in your deck that only matches 1 attribute. So a great target for Chamber Dragonmaid would be one of the hand traps, Ash Blossom or Ghost Bell, because they both only share their 1800 defense. They have different attack types, levels, and attributes. And then after that, you could go into Noctovision Dragon, because these two only share that they have 0 attack. Of course, their attribute, type, level, and defense are different. So why you would want to go to Chamber into Nocto is extremely situational, and I would probably never do it, unless I just needed a higher dragon for a fusion summon. But if you have Nocto and nothing else but Small World, you could reveal Noctovision, go to Ash Blossom, and then get your starter. So it's just an amazing card like that. The only downside at that is that you have to banish the first 2 you reveal. So by revealing the Nocto and Ash Blossom, they get banished, so you're kind of down 2, but that's also good because it kind of thins out your deck. But they are just very strong cards, so you know, it's kind of a greater good thing. You know, you get your starter, but you're down 2 good cards. Next is 1 Called by the Grave. Now, I only run 1 because that's usually all that's needed. I also run 1 for Cross Out. So, yeah, I mean, it basically, if there's a monster in the graveyard, you can banish it, and its effects are negated for the rest of the turn. Well, at the end of the next turn, my bad. The next card is Pot of Extravagance. So, this is honestly kind of risky for Dragonmaid, because the extra deck is very important, but luckily most things we need, like both boss monsters and spheres, we run 3 of. So by banishing, I think Wednesday, yeah, just 2 days ago, I did banish 6, and I still had 4 of my boss monsters, spheres, I had everything I needed. So, it's a risky but good card if you're just straight up bricked. And then, lastly, for spells, we have Lightning Storm. Now, this is probably the most expensive card in my deck, I think, or one of the top 3. It's a very good card. It's basically an attack position, Raigeki, and back row clear. You only get to pick one. Very good card, especially for going second, but it is pretty expensive. But, I've got to use it a few times, and it has saved me and helped me, so very good card, but there are cheaper replacements like Harpy's Feather Duster, Dark Hole, Raigeki, stuff like that. Moving on to traps. We have 3 Dragonmaid Tidying. So this is the one you're going to want to search for with Parlor, because it has an amazing graveyard effect, which lets you banish it from graveyard, and then special summon a Dragonmaid. It also has a main effect, if you set it as a trap card, that you get to target 1 dragon monster you control, not just Dragonmaid, dragon monster, and one of your opponent's cards, or in their graveyard, but I usually do their field, and return them to the hand. So this is great for extra deck monsters, returning them to the hand. It usually costs a generous amount of resources to get extra deck monsters out. So returning those to the hand puts them back in the extra deck, and they have to use all those resources again. It's also great for, let's say, the opponent had Mystic Mine. This could get rid of Mystic Mine. All kinds of great situations. It's a very good card. This next trap card is kind of experimental. It's okay. I might change it out, but it is 1 copy of Dragonmaid Downtime. So basically, you can target 1 Dragonmaid monster you control and return it to the hand, and then either add 1 Dragonmaid card from your deck to your hand, or return it to the hand and return 1 spell or trap your opponent controls to the hand. I usually pick the first effect to get a Dragonmaid card from deck to hand, but it's kind of a big cost to return one of your own Dragonmaids. Yeah, it's situational, but it has helped me before. Especially in returning a Dragonmaid that got negated, and then getting a Dragonmaid card from deck to hand. So that's basically just Chamber Dragonmaid's effect, but with any Dragonmaid card. Next is 2 Infinite Impermanences. This is a very great card. It's a negate that you can use from your hand if you control no cards, so great for going second. Or if you set it, it's still great because it negates a monster and a spell or trap card in the same column will also get negated if there is one. Or if they put one after and they forgot that Imperm was used that turn, it still gets negated, which is, it's really important to keep track of, because it can save yourself or, protect yourself from that happening to you. And lastly, kind of out of order from the rest, but it is 1 spell card and 2 monsters. It's an engine I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, and Red Eyes Fusion. This is, of course, for Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, which is a extremely strong card. Right here. Very, very strong. He has a negate. He gets power-ups, he gets pops, he gets burns. It's just insane how much he can do. This card's like 80 or 90. It's just overkill, really. Usually you can just get by with your Dragonmaid boss monsters, but this is a great backup for, if you just want to link to, go into Verte, then go into, using Red Eyes, go into Dark Dragoon. Very good backup. So that's it for the main deck. I actually just touched on the extra deck a little bit. And let me just move these out of the way. Now we will go into extra deck. First, of course, for those Dark Dragoon, just talked about it. Then next, we will have 3 copies of Dragonmaid Shio. Now, this is the Dragonmaid boss monster. It is extremely powerful. You get an Omni Negate that destroys the card as well, that it negates. And you return it to the extra deck so you can summon it again. And then you get to special summon House Dragonmaid in its place. Not only that, every standby phase, yours and your opponent's, you get to special summon a level 9 or lower Dragonmaid monster. So that's great if you can special summon, say, Nurse, and then Nurse's effect lets you special summon another one, use its effect, and at the beginning of battle phase, switch them out. It's just an insanely good card. So when you negate, you return this card to your extra deck, and then special summon House Dragonmaid in its place. House Dragonmaid is also pretty good, but not as good as Shio. Basically, when a dragon monster is bounced back to your hand, this happens often, because at the beginning of battle phase, you can switch them. You can bounce them back to your hand, then special summon their big forms. Whenever one is bounced back to your hand, and it's a dragon monster, not just Dragonmaid, you get to pop one, basically. It's pretty strong, and its secondary effect is on standby phase. You get to special summon another Dragonmaid by targeting, well, you don't even target, but one other one you control. I guess it might target, but anyway, you select another Dragonmaid in your hand or graveyard that has a level higher or lower than this. So let's say I had Shio out, and I had House Dragonmaid, and I had another House Dragonmaid in my graveyard. I can use Shio's effect to special summon, of course, but then House Dragonmaids, I need to select another one, another Dragonmaid you control, and then pick another Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard that has a level 1 higher or lower. So House Dragonmaid has 1 lower, so if it was in my graveyard, I could just special summon. It's a little bit confusing, but, if you just think about it and read it a few times, it'll make sense. So basically, you select another Dragonmaid you control, find one in your graveyard or hand that is 1 level higher or lower than the one you select. Next is Dragon Crown. He's also here just to out Dragoon because he's Spellcaster and we use a bunch of dragons. I have honestly never got him out once because not many people I play with run Dragoon, or at least have been recently, so it could definitely be switched out for something like Nightmare Unicorn, Access Code, something like that. Next we have Link 1, very useful Striker Dragon. He is Dark Attribute, so he can help get Noctovision out if he's special summoned. He has a good effect, but not for Dragonmaids. I run no Rocket cards, so he's mainly there just to be a Dark Attribute Link 1. Similarly, I have Guard Dragon Pisty, another Link 1 Dark Attribute. But the important thing to know is Guard Dragon Pisty locks you into only dragons. Striker Dragon does not. So if you go into Pisty and get out Nocto and try to link 2 into Verte, you can't because it's planned. So I usually go for Striker all the time. He is limited to 1 though, Striker. So that's why I have a backup Pisty. But just know if you use Pisty, you can't go into Verte. It sucks, but that's how it is. Next we have 3 copies of Heretic Seal, their Heavenly Spheres. This is a amazing card. Basically, it lets you quick effect during your opponent's turn. You can tribute 1 monster, which is, it should be spheres. That's because it's second effect. But basically, you can tribute 1 monster, and then bounce 1 card on the field back to hand. Now, this is good. You could bounce your own card if you have House Dragonmaid out, and then get a free pop. Or you could bounce one of your opponent's cards. And this is non-targeting, so very great to out Dragoon, because it doesn't target, it doesn't destroy. And then, even after all that, if you tributed this card and it was in your extra monster zone, then you get to special summon from your deck any card you want, any dragon card. Dragon monster. Any dragon monster you want, but all the Dragonmaids have amazing effects, so you get a Dragonmaid out. Its attack and defense does become 0, so just put it in defense position, but you still get its effect off, which is just amazing. Next we have Verte, of course, to go into Dragoon if needed. Very good card, lets you copy a fusion spell from your deck. If you don't have it in your deck, it's kind of worthless. And it does cost 2,000 life points, which, really, it's 1/4 of your life points, so it's not that much. And if 2,000 life points is the cost to get Dragoon out, which usually wins you games, it's not a guaranteed win, but it usually helps. It's not that bad. Then we have Boral Sword as a backup and Hope Harbinger. I haven't used either of these cards once. I think I did once for Hope Harbinger, but it was just testing. I honestly have never used these two in a real duel because I just go into the Dragonmaid Shio or Dragoon. I would probably switch this one, Boral Sword, and the Dragon Crown for Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, Access Code. That would be my ideal switch outs, but I don't have any of those. So, oh well. Might get him soon, might not, we'll see. But if you're just watching and want to make your deck better than mine, that is what I would switch out. So next, I'm just going through my deck, but next we have my Field Center. Unrelated to Yu-Gi-Oh, but I really like it. And then my deck divider for my extra deck. So, these are Weiss Schwarz products, by the way. Here comes the extra deck. We have 3. I call them Mothra, but it's basically just a generic kaiju card. You know, you can tribute 1 monster on your opponent's side and special summon this to their side. This is great for outing Dragoon, because it doesn't destroy, it tributes. And basically just any monster it can get rid of. So, honestly, just really good effect. That's why I run 3 in the extra. Then I have 2 Triple T. This is an amazing card. It's just, I found it pretty bricky when I run it. Like, it honestly doesn't help me that much. But if they Ash Blossom or Effect Veiler one of your Dragonmaids, then you can draw 2, take control of one of their monsters, or look at their hand and take one away. So you know what you're dealing with. Overall, great card, but it just... I found other things have been helping me more. I could maybe take out... it was a spell card I had. I've already forgotten it, honestly, but I feel like there is something I could take out to add, you know, some of these back in, but oh well. Then I have 1 Crossout. 1 Crossout is honestly pretty bad. I would run 2, maybe push 3, but 2 is a good number. I only run 1 because that's all I really have. That's all I really want right now. If you sight it in at 1, don't expect to draw it, really. But it has saved me a few times. Then I have Super Poly. You know, help out Dragoon, all kinds of things. Just a general good removal card. And it helps you summon into your own things if you need it. Another changeover in case they're playing stuff that banishes cards and, you know, yours gets banished. Then in Duel 2, you can have a second one. Now, these next cards I used to run 3 of, I believe. That was before I kind of learned how to be a better duelist, but 1, World Legacy Guard Dragon, lets you special summon a level 4 or lower dragon monster. Very good, but other things are just better, like Dragonmaid Hospitality. It's also a good Dragon Link card, but I mainly play Pure instead of Dragon Link. Then we have Return of the Dragon Lords. This is a very good card. I might slip it back in because it's honestly really great. Mainly for the secondary effect. So, first of all, you get to target 1 level 7 or 8 dragon monster in your graveyard, which is only the 3 we have. So, honestly, you don't get to use it much, and it's more of a brick than anything. I used this when I used to run more of the bigger dragons, but its secondary effect is if a dragon monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So I used to run this when I was doing laundry, and I would mill 3. If this got milled, amazing. If not, I ran more bigger Dragonmaids, and I could use this, but now it's just kind of garbage, honestly, for my profile right now. Next we have Solemn Strike. Very good removal card. It's just a, say no. You do have to pay 1,500 life points, but honestly, that's not that much. And whenever a monster will be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, you can negate and destroy it. So very good card, but it only really works for stuff relating to monsters. So if they try to use a spell or trap, you would need, I think it's called Solemn Judgment instead. Next we have 2 Ice Dragons Prison. Very good card, but kind of situational. It depends on what they're using, but most of the time it can come in clutch. Target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it. It doesn't get its effects, but that's okay because then you can banish 1 monster from both players' fields that have the same type. So, let's say they're playing Sword Souls and they only use worm type monsters, and there's one in their graveyard. Well, you can use this to special summon it to your field, and now you have a worm, and if they have a worm, like Sword Soul, Moye, or any of the Synchro ones, you can banish that one along with the worm you control. And that's, of course, if they don't negate it or something, but overall, pretty good card. And finally, for the complete deck profile, 2 Rivalry of Warlords. This is another good card, mainly if they're running 2 archetypes, like, let's say, Lyrisac, the birds, and then Tri-Brigade. I've run into that. This would help a lot, so they could only use one of those kind of attributes. So, that's pretty much it. I have been doing pretty good at tournaments with this deck. I mainly play for fun, and I haven't went into super serious tournaments like, people. I haven't even went against one Sword Soul deck except online. So, honestly, I would say it's definitely rogue tier. There's so many things that can just straight up beat it, but it does stand a chance against some better decks, like, Live Twins. They still beat me, but I still put up a good fight. So now I'm going to do a quick shuffle or 2, and we will do a test hand to see, just what a combo would look like, depending on what you get, just a general combo. So let me place this up a few times. Okay. And then 1 big one to cut. Let's say your opponent cut. Okay? So we are going to get the 5 off the top of our deck. And let's see what we're working with. 1 Chamber, Effect Veiler, Downtime, Red Eyes, and Small World. Honestly, a middle tier hand. It's amazing that we got Chamber. That's one of the best starters you can ask for. Let's say there's no negates. Here's what I would do. Chamber, use effect, get Changeover, the fusion spell, and then fusion summon with 1 Dragonmaid and 1 level 5 or higher dragon. Then you get your boss monster out. That's a turn 1 boss monster, pretty great. Here we go. So, turn 1 and just 1 card, really. Well, I guess technically 2, because you need the fusion. 2 cards, you have a 3500, Beat Stick, Omni Negate, and Special Summon next standby. And you still have Small World in your hand. You have Effect Veiler to negate their stuff. And you can set down time to help yourself later. Or to just bait out back row removal. And if you wanted to, Small World, you could use it on Effect Veiler, go into Ash Blossom, because they only share attack, I'm pretty sure. And then from Ash Blossom, go into Nocto Vision, or just whatever else you might need. There's a ton of links you can do in the deck. Links as in links for Small World, not like extra deck links, but yeah, that was also a pretty good hand. Now, if it did get negated, though, Chamber Dragonmaid, and we had the same hand, okay, play Chamber, negated. Well, maybe you don't want to link just yet, because you can, as I said, use Small World by revealing Effect Veiler, go into Ash Blossom, go into Nocto, Now you have Nocto in your hand. Link 1 into Striker Dragon, a Dark Attribute. Dark Attribute Dragon was special summon, so you get to special summon Nocto. Then you can link 2 into Spheres or Verte. If you do Verte, you know, you might have Dragoon out. There's a lot of ways you can kind of help yourself if you get negated. Let me go ahead and do one more test hand just for fun. Maybe explain another combo. Oh, I had these the wrong way. Okay. Sometimes you can brick, which it's been happening to me a little bit more than I'd like to, but it's also why I run Pot of Extravagance and Small World. So those can help out a lot. So here we go, more shuffles. Just add this back on top. And then cut. That's a crappy cut, but oh well. And then 5. See what we're working with. Ooh, very mediocre hand in my opinion. 2 Hospitalities, which is good, so we can use Hospitality to special summon Ernest. Have a 2600 beat stick, but honestly, that's kind of all we got right there. You do get to send Nurse to the graveyard, so at the end of battle phase, you could special summon it back and stuff. Tidying. So if we did special summon Ernest by using Hospitality, then we can set Tidying, and, you know, if they do happen to get something more than 26, which is pretty likely, honestly, then you can activate Tidying, bounce theirs, and then, this is in graveyard. Use your other Hospitality next turn, or banish Tidying from your graveyard, and hope you get a good draw, which would have been Small World. So, you know, it really depends. This is kind of not that very good of a hand, but what I would do, if it's not a super serious game, I would just take the risk and straight up play Red Eyes Fusion. A lot of the times, turn 1, they don't have ways to negate spells. I mean, I don't even know how you would, besides Solemn Judgment, which needs to be set first. So yeah, that's probably the play I would do, Red Eyes Fusion, instead of doing all that other stuff. I'll do one more test hand. This is kind of fun. I haven't played any today, so I'll do one more test hand, then see if there's anything else I need to cover. So I did 2 shuffles and a quick cut. Let's get top 5. And we got... oh, wow. All 3 Hospitalities. I swear I shuffled good, so the fact that we got the same 2 we got is kind of weird. And we did get the same... I don't know if this is the same Tidying because I run 3, but anyway, this is an okay hand. Kind of bricky, but you can use Chamber Dragonmaid. If it gets negated, you're kind of screwed. You can set this. Maybe link 1. Oh, actually, yeah. Link 1 into Striker Dragon. Then use Hospitality to bring Chamber Dragonmaid back. Then you have 2 with Striker Dragon. If you have 2 links, then you can go into Spheres or Verte. And then your game is saved. So yeah, I had to think about it a little bit. There are a lot of ways to come back from like bricks or negates. Especially with Small World, so. You know, I think that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I might do a deck profile on my Live Twins when I finish them. Yeah, this is mainly just to test, you know, how this stuff records, how it looks, if it's focusing right and stuff, so. Yeah, give me some feedback in the comments if you have any. If not, stay tuned for future videos. Like and subscribe if you want to. And stay tuned for more card game content. Have a nice night, guys. Or day, wherever you're at. And see ya.